Went to high school up here in Big Bear Lake. You guys familiar with Big Bear at all?
Yep.
So this is somewhat local for me. Never run the marathon here in LA. It's on my bucket list. I want to do it. Does anyone run in on Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all going? Yeah, you guys look a little bit young to be a marathon. You have that student around LA, right? So maybe not. But anyways, ran in 2008 Olympics, Beijing in the marathon, finished 10th there, and then most recently ran in London Olympics. Had to pull out with the hamstring injury there, so that was a bummer, but there's more races to come, so just training, getting in shape for hopefully a fall marathon, either Chicago or New York, so looking forward to that, but excited to be here supporting the guys running in LA this weekend, and yeah, just excited to be here with Andy, learning some tricks of the trade from him. He runs way farther, or not runs, but his race is 4 times longer than mine, so he's got the endurance end of it down. So
I'm Andy Potts. I'm a triathlete. I've been doing triathlons professionally since 2003, so this marks my 11th year as a professional. I've kind of seen each aspect of our sport and how it's grown. So I've taken it from doing sprints, which in the triathlon world at a really fast clip is like an hour long. So it's not really sprinting, but in triathlon we call that sprint. So I've done races all the way from actually a 15-minute race in the sport of triathlon all the way up to an 8.5-hour race. The longest I've ever been out on a race course is 8 hours and 38 minutes, which was one of the shorter of that day. So, but our whole race, if you want to be an official finisher at Ironman, you have 17 hours to finish. So I've seen our sport from all the different, through all the different lenses, I guess, through the Olympics and draft legal, where you're able to ride in a pack, all the way to Ironman racing, where you're not allowed to go up next to the behind the bicycle behind you, and you have to ride your whole race by yourself. So it's kind of the really truth and true test of your individual capabilities. So yeah, and I've had the pleasure to meet Ryan and travel with him a bit. I don't know how much I'm teaching him, but he's teaching me every time we talk. So I always try to listen, and he's got wise words. So. Do you guys have questions for us, or maybe we could do a Q&A? Whether it could be training related, racing related, specifically to LA. I've never done this race. I'll be out there tomorrow on the course, really taking it in for the first time. So my on-site knowledge is not super high, but anything involving whether it's swimming, biking, or running. Ryan's also got great tips about nutrition, rest, anything that involves trying to like human performance and how to get the most out of yourself. So we'll entertain pretty much most questions. Yeah.
I was curious which of the sports you started with, swimming, biking, running, and then did you evolve into a runner first, a cyclist, and then how did you evolve into a triathlete?
So as a human, I'm always evolving, and we see the human race is always evolving, and our sport of triathlon has come a long ways. It's a really young sport, 30 years old, so we're seeing better athletes and faster times, and better races. So everything is evolving. And I started out as a swimmer, grew up at age 5. I was swimming competitively, actually at age 5, and I took it all the way up until I was 23 years old. And I ran a little bit, but I stopped running in 6th grade, so I don't really know if that counts. Middle school, 6th grade track, doesn't really count. And then around 23, I started picking up running again, and I'd say in terms of my love of sports, and where my background lies, it goes probably swimming, then running, then cycling. I'm trying to bring my running and my cycling up to my swimming. So as I progress and evolve, I try to keep my swimming at a really high level and bring my running and my cycling up to those levels. And I think that that's a really big key, maybe for you guys, is find your strength, whatever it is that you do really well, whether it's within the sport of running or other sports, and then try to lift and elevate the other aspects of what you're doing to kind of evolve as an athlete yourself. Because I plan to be evolving and improving for a long time, even though I've been at it for 11 years as a professional. I think I'm better now than I was even when I was younger, and perhaps stronger. So.
Does there seem to be a certain age with triathletes where there's a peak, or a certain, early 30s, late 20s, where it was really your peak years?
Yeah, I've got a philosophy on this, and Ryan can echo it or add his 2 cents into it, and I'd love to hear it. So we're a hybrid sport. Swimming, we're starting to see it's a viable sport for professionals, and you're seeing more people in their mid to late 20s race and race great. So I'm going to say swimming, you're starting to see the males of our sport peak around 26 to 27 at like peak performance. For females, it's going to be closer to like 24 to 25. And then for cycling is an older sport. It's been around a little bit longer, and you see peak from anywhere between 27 to like 34. And with running, what I'm seeing is anywhere between 27, and it's actually a longer area for really peak performance, 27 to 38. I know that sounds weird. You're seeing some really awesome performances, like just mind-boggling stuff. And then for triathlon, when you talk about Ironman racing, it's I think you're going to see some really great performances at 40 years old, just because we're young and we're getting athletes that need more exposure into the sport to learn the tricks of the trade. So I'm going to say anywhere between like 31 to 40 years old for the sport of triathlon. But I think that'll skew a little bit younger as we get better kind of marketing and the word out about our sport. And I would love to hear what you have to say about like when you peaked running.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Andy. It's like, I think you're seeing guys running well later and later, like Meb, for example. Dina, who's running on Sunday, she just turned 40, and she's got a great chance to win this race. So you're seeing some amazing stuff, like Olympic champions in the marathon, just being older and older. I like to look at it a couple different ways. Like, there's your age, and then there's also your training age. And I think a lot has to do with what's your training age, how many miles how long you've been going, taxing your body for, and then more importantly, how well do you take care of your body, how smart do you train? Because, I mean, you can burn yourself out super quick, like at a super young age. You could train really way too hard, burn yourself out, and your training age, you're like 100, you know? So a lot of it, I think, is how you approach it, how well you take care of the recovery aspect of the sport, and how smart you train, not ramping up your training too quickly, just being really wise in your approach to training.
A question on that do you think you get a better training if you're running 80 miles per week faster than race pace, or 120 miles per week but slower than race pace?
It's a good question. I think kind of the trend in marathon running right now is doing less volume but at a higher intensity. And like, we're not able to run 80 miles a week at race pace. Like, if I run 20 miles a week at race pace, that's a lot for me. So you're not hitting on race pace all that often. It's amazing what the body can do. Like, the longest I'll run in practice at race pace is 15 miles, and I'll only do that 2 or 3 times before a marathon. So most of the time I'm training way slower than marathon pace, and just building strength, and then when you rest and freshen up, you're able to actually race a whole marathon. But it's a little bit scary, because you go to the starting line, you're like, wow, I've only run 15 miles at marathon pace. I gotta go 11 more miles. It seems impossible. But when you're well rested and you're out there in an exciting atmosphere, like we'll be out here on Sunday, you just rise to the occasion. And a lot of it's, do you believe that you've trained properly.